Well, hey there, it's Elka.
And Jen, and welcome to another episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. And in this episode, we are talking about struggle to success in e-commerce.
This is not meant like struggle to success for e-commerce. It's meant to be like a journey where you don't want to struggle anymore to get to success in e-commerce. And we're going to share with you two stories of two of our students actually who went through that struggle, just like we did when we first started. Oh my gosh, going back 14 years ago, which seems like a forever lifetime. Like it's kind of like in dog years because e-commerce is such a fast-paced area, and things change so rapidly. So being in the e-commerce space for 14 years is incredible, right? And to be successful for that long. And this is why we can even talk to you about this, because we feel so confident because we've done this for so long. And now our students are actually getting to that point where, since we've been teaching now for the last 3 years, our students, that especially the two that we're going to talk about today, they started with us a long time ago, and they trusted us with when we did our first course. We had no promises. We just like, okay, we're just going to show you what we do and see if it works for you. And they trusted us. And sure enough, 3 years later, they've each made over $150,000.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of like a low ball thing for people who are in e-commerce. So please, anyone who's here for like, I want to make $100,000 in 1 month on like merch, Amazon merch or whatever, or KDB Publishing. Don't even bother listening to the rest of the episode, because this is all about how you can create a sustainable, long-term, profitable, passive business on a platform called Zazzle. And it's helped us have a long-term, passive, profitable business for a long time, 14 years to be exact. And we've made over $1.5 million combined. And that suits us just fine. And I think that's where, if you're resonating with that and you'd like to do that over the next 14 years, awesome, great, because it's a nice little chunk of change in your bank account, about 6 figures a year, right? Which is nice. Now, what's really fun is our students are actually starting to supersede us, right? Because they've got the tools, they've got the plan, and they're actually doing better than we ever did. Because for the first like four or 5 years on Zazzle, we struggled like heck. Yeah. We were really in trouble. In fact, in our first years,
I made less than $100.
Yeah, I made $90. And it was like, oh, good for me. I worked for an entire year and I made $90.
I think I made about 65 or something. Yeah.
And it was like, we laugh about it now, but back then we were pissed, excuse my language, but we were so upset. We were frustrated. We were overwhelmed. And
overworked.
And we really just didn't understand what was wrong with us, right? Because that's what we go to. You right away go to, what is wrong with me? How come I can't make this work? And what it leads to is a huge overwhelm, incredible embarrassment, and then you start to give up, right?
Yeah.
And you don't even understand your potential future. If someone told me back 14 years ago that I, even like 3-4 years in to the Zazzle, journey that we took, if someone would have said, hey, you're going to make like over $1 million, isn't that okay if with you? Wouldn't you like to do that? It's like, yes, I would, but I can never see that being a possibility. And yet it has been a possibility because it came true. And so what was happening to us when we struggled was that we actually lost the ability to be confident in ourselves that it could be possible for us.
Yeah, we couldn't see the potential.
Yeah, and we started doubting our potential. And that's what hopefully will resonate with you right now. Maybe you're actually on Zazzle and you're in that spot where you're doubting your potential, or you're brand new to this platform and you're going like, wow, this seems like a big struggle. Holy smokes, no way. I'm not going to spend 14 years doing that, even if it does get me $1.5 million. But the key here is that now that people are following our plan that we set in place, because we have these 5 strategies that we realized once we were successful, this is what we did. And they were basically 5 strategies. And we teach that in our course, which is our signature course, the Profit by Design Academy. That's where you need to start for sure if you want to be successful on Zazzle. And this is also where our students started, especially these two here that we're going to showcase today. And hopefully we'll give you some, not just hopefully, we are going to give you a ton of inspiration, because we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about where they came from, how they struggled, what they, how they did when they even started working in our courses. And so you'll get a really good sense of how this journey might be able to work for you, right? We can't make any income claim statements, but we're certainly going to showcase these two, and they are real people, and they have really graciously allowed us to talk about their journey with numbers and things like that. So it's really a fun thing for us to get into today.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So this is so important for us because and we've lived and breathed this struggle. And we totally empathize with you if you're in that struggle situation right now, because what we do when we get into that struggle mode, we forget that the only reason we're in it is not because we're not good enough. It's because we're not doing the right thing and we're not taking the right action.
Or we don't know how, or even where to start.
Yeah, we don't know where to start. We don't know what steps to follow. Finished. That's it. That's all it is. If I wanted to be like an Olympic swimmer now, I'm not just going to go to the local pool and start swimming, right? And that's what a lot of people do when they join any of these e-commerce platforms, and they go like, I'm going to make a lot of money doing something online, e-commerce. Sure, let's do it. This looks really easy. Just it's all free. Just open up a store and start selling. How hard it can it be? And then unfortunately people start to realize that what they're doing is throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing if it sticks. And unfortunately, a lot of people throwing that spaghetti against the wall see that it doesn't stick, and they're going like, I'm throwing more spaghetti. And unfortunately, it's never sticking, and i.e. they're not making any money. They just keep doing more work, i.e. struggle. So I think we get that we've gotten the point across about this struggle, and we're not making light of it. It's truly real. However, you don't have to do that journey. You don't have to take those like hardship years in order for you to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And so, and hopefully by getting some more details about our two wonderful people that are our students today, you're going to actually understand that they also went through the struggle. And then they finally realized they don't need to struggle. They don't need to struggle. Okay, so let's talk about, who do you want to talk about first?
Well, we have Brandon we can talk about first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, Brandon, he came into our space about 3 years ago now.
Yeah, well, because that's when we started, like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast or watching it later, that's around 2017, and now we're like just shortly, like this is March of 2021, to just bring it to the like where we are in the podcast. But yeah, that's when we decided as Zazzle designers to say, okay, we need to maybe do a course so that others can learn from us, because there's enough room for everybody to be successful on Zazzle. You just have to, deliver on really cool stuff that people want to buy. And so, yeah, Christine and Brandon discovered us when we launched our first course, and they took our first thing, which was called 7 Days to Success. Everyone else can resonate with that. And that got people started. And then we had what's called the 30-day profit plan, and that's just going down memory lane, just for people who actually were part of those courses. Now, all of those the information out in both of those courses are now in this one course called the Profit by Design Academy. So that's where you start, and that starts you from scratch, and it also helps you if you're already a Zazzle designer to move you forward. Okay, so that's, I'm not here to pitch, I'm here to say what was the plan. And the plan was this course, because it's a very interactive course, and it literally makes you set up your business and do all the work while you're doing the course. And Brandon, before he came to us, he had tried to do all kinds of things. Like, he has a very high demanding corporate job, but he wanted a side hustle. And then that side hustle was to actually really fun and cool thing. He wants to, and it is actually making money on Zazzle to then reinvest in real estate that's income generating. So he's really building up his nest egg so that he can retire early. and he's a young gentleman. So like he just wants to retire when he's like 50. He doesn't want to wait until 65 or 70. He just wants to have a good time and enjoy life. And so that was a cool plan. And it's like, we're on board. Let's see how we can help you. And but he said, hey, I can only work about 20 hours a month, and I really just need to know what to do, and I'll follow your plan. And it's like, yes, we've got that for you, because we literally say 20 hours a month, and we help you with a system and all that stuff. Just follow these steps, and you'll start to see some results. And sure enough, he did. In the first year, after doing the course, he made about $10,000. That's take home. Now, when we talk about the earnings, we're not talking about the sales, right? A lot of e-commerce people who talk about their students doing well or they doing well, they're talking about what they've sold. But that doesn't include the Facebook ad spend, what they paid for products and shipping and all the other things that are needed to run their business, which they would then have to give back or pay out before they could say, this is my profit. And on the Zazzle marketplace, that's all taken care of for you. You have very little expenses, really just about whatever it costs you to buy a computer and your graphics programs and internet and your time. So when we say Brandon earned $10,000, that means he could spend the $10,000 investing in a real estate property. So it's not that he has to pay for extra expenses. So we usually tell our students to set their royalty about 10%. So you can also then make that correlation that when he made $10,000, he actually sold $100,000 worth of product in his first year after doing the training with us and following the plan, the proven plan, the steps, the things that he said, give me some steps to follow. And then his next year he made $30,000, so that means he sold $300,000 worth of product. And then now he's in lifetime earnings, he's made $150,000. So he's sold $1.5 million worth of product on Zazzle. Cool, right? So, but that's the numbers. So let's talk about his story. Well, I want Jen to say something.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, you're doing Christine, are you?
I don't mind. Just keep going. You're on a roll.
All right, so we really appreciate Brandon because he, we're starting out, we're trying to like help other people out. Then we spit this course out, and he goes like, I see that you've made money, but I'm going to prove you wrong that it works for me, even though he wants to make money. That's what he said to us when we first started working with him 3 years ago. And I said, okay, well, it just scared the living daylights out of me because it's like, okay, I'm really trying my best to just help people. And all of a sudden I'm being pressured to prove that it's going to work for them. And it's like, I can't guarantee anything because that's not what I'm doing. I'm not just helping people out, telling them what I do and what Jen does, not what, is going to actually make it work. And so that was an interesting thing. But because of that, he actually took the time to literally document his journey. What did he do? What did he have trouble with? When did he work? When did he not work? When did he slack off? When did he get frustrated? When did he rest on his laurels? And so we actually have 2 blog posts that you can go and check out. And we're going to put the links in the show notes so that you can watch or basically read his journey from his first year online. And it's really fun because it allows you to see how maybe your journey will happen. And the learnings that he got during that time, that's all really cool stuff. And I want to leave you a little bit of information so that you read those blog posts. What we want to talk about here is more, he's a guy, right? And he's doing this as a side hustle. He has very little time. And he had no design skills. Okay, and it's not that guys shouldn't be doing this. It's just that you're dealing with 80% of the people online on Zazzle are women that are shopping. So we have to go, basically work towards targeting that female market. And this was something that was a challenge to him. So we helped him with that so that he could target that market. And what else do we want to say about him? I loved it that he said, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm not going to work more than 20 hours a month ever. And sometimes I might not even get to 20 hours a month, but I still want to make this work. And what else? He actually realized when he wasn't doing as well and he wasn't seeing the same kind of progress, he realized, oh yeah, I wasn't following this strategy that you teach, because you need all 5. And so it was a lot of fun to work with him over the last 3 years, and it was really great to see that he ultimately just started seeing success, and it just blew up. And the why it blew up and really exponentially grew so fast is because he stuck to the plan and he didn't deviate. And he was really, really good at always asking and saying, okay, is this really truly what I need? And so on. And he got the help and the training, because for 5 years he had struggled on his own selling photography and things like that. And on Zazzle he'd made a total of $2,500 in 5 years. And he was really almost at the point of giving up, but he saw our course. And so he thought, okay, this is going to be the last chance. But like we talked about in the initial part of the podcast, is that he was in that stage of overwhelm and frustration and not even feeling like he could do it, because he was in such doubt from seeing 5 years worth of, you can't do it. You can only make $500 a year. It just kind of wears on you after a while, right? And even 500, maybe you're listening to this and going, I'd love to make $500 a year on Zazzle, but he wanted to make more, right? And why not? Why can't everyone dream bigger? And so the fact that he got that help and he started to see results, at one of the times when he reached that amount in 1 month, he was just like so happy, and he was like, Elka, it took me 5 years to make this, I now make it in a month. And it was like a big milestone for him. Really, really fun to hear the success. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm actually completely bleached out because of these lights, so I can't see what's in our notes. I'm just talking.
Okay, well, now we can talk about Christine. And so Christine also, the reason why, first of all, the two of them are really amazing students is because of their success online with Zazzle. But the fact is that they come from completely different sides of the world.
That's true. Hannah.
Brandon is a male. He's in a corporate job. Christine is a female. She comes from the Philippines. She's working with her family business that's like a farm-based business. And so both of them are completely opposite people, but they have come together on the same platform, and they've both seen amazing success because of the way they've implemented the 5 strategies, which we've taught them, and the fact that they've realized that they needed that extra mentoring and coaching and the proven plan. And so Christine, she came across Zazzle a couple of years ago, and she was working on Zazzle on her own for 2 years. And within those 2 years, she only made $132. So somewhat similar to like our stories, where in the first couple of years, we were making very, very little money. And then she came across us, and she started to take the 7 Days to Success course, much like Brandon, and realized that she needed to follow everything that we taught to make sure that she can make this work, because she saw Zazzle as an opportunity that she never even thought would ever happen. It was something completely different.
She wanted to own her own business.
Yeah,
right?
She wanted to own her own business, and having the opportunity to work in the e-commerce online space is just something that had never been a part of like her family and her upbringing and the way that she actually thought / was taught. And so having her own business online and actually having something that was her own felt so amazing to her. And she knew the value, and she actually saw the potential afterwards, after struggling for 2 years and saying, this is not working for me. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And after she came into our course, she realized that there's so much more potential, and she just needed to soak up everything that we taught her. So in the past 3 years, she had implemented everything we spoke about. She worked on the 5 strategies. She set herself a proven plan using the 5 strategies that we talk about in the signature course, the Profit by by Design Academy. And in 3 years, she made $150,000. And like Elka mentioned previously, she sets her royalties at 10% on Zazzle. So that means she's made or sold, $1.5 million worth of Zazzle product. So she's sold $1.5 million in sales and made take home $150,000 US. And so
that's her profit, right? Because there's
Yeah.
really no expenses.
Yeah. And the most amazing part about that too is that actually last year during COVID in 2020, she made her best year ever and actually made over $100,000 within 1 year in 2020. So she built up her Zazzle business in 3 years with us, and she was able to now successfully say that she made $100,000 in 2020 and now is actually on track to double that, which is really amazing. And we're extremely excited for her.
Double, $200,000 in 2021, hopefully. But yeah, she's on track right now to do that.
Yeah. But in terms of her story, she struggled really hard to try and figure things out. And plus, she didn't, English is her second language. She speaks really well in English, but it was just a whole different online space and something completely foreign to her. She doesn't understand the North American market so much. And so she had to learn a lot, and she had to
Especially
understand.
when it came to SEO and things,
Yeah,
right?
and so she had to understand what was actually going on, and she struggled really hard at the beginning because it was just so foreign to her. But she realized that, as I said, there was potential, and she really wanted to make it work. And so the fact that a woman from the Philippines and then a male from North America and the United States, and they're both completely different age groups, backgrounds, cultures, and everything, that both of them were able to see amazing success on this platform called Zazzle, because we, Elka and myself, have taught them through our 5 strategies, and they just really honed in and implemented the 5 strategies and worked on it on their Zazzle business. And the reason why they went from struggling to actually being successful was because a couple things had to happen, right? They had to understand that they had to put a little bit of skin in the game, where they had to invest in themselves to build their business. They understood that they needed to understand better on how to build a business, how to build a profitable business, and also learn from people who have done it previously. Because as Elka mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, they were both throwing spaghetti at the walls, just kind of randomly trying to see what would work, and hopefully, fingers crossed, something would work, and then they would hold on to that. But for the first couple of years that they were on Zazzle, they were working really, really hard and not seeing the results that they wanted. And so they understood that something needed to change. They needed to learn from people who understood what was going on. And so they invested in themselves and invested in our programs and our courses when we first started out, and gave us the opportunity to teach them. Actually took the leap of faith, I want to say, because at that point in time, we were just introducing our courses, but they realized that there was somebody out there to help them, right? They understood that there was somebody out there who had done what they were doing and actually saw success. And then therefore they could see the potential and the possibilities going forward. And they also followed a proven plan, but because before, throughout their first couple of years on Zazzle, they were just kind of all over the place, not really understanding, these 5 strategies. Elka made them for a specific reason, because they all work cohesively together. And if one of them's missing, the plan doesn't work. And so the 5 strategies becomes the proven plan and is the proven plan. And both Christine and Brandon realized that they needed a plan to follow. And if they didn't follow it strategically, that they would not see the results that they're seeing today. And then the next one is that they got mentors. The thing that really changed was that they finally realized that they needed to learn from somebody who did it, who understood, who struggled, who went through, we always say, blood, sweat, and tears, and we failed, and we did trial and error, and we were literally working our butts off trying to figure out what would work and what wouldn't work. And Elka finally realized that this is something that, she tracked her efforts just like Brandon, but understood that there was a method to it, and that each one of her actions that she took either worked in a certain way or failed in a certain way. And then she put together in a nice little package the 5 strategies. And all of those 5 strategies are exactly what herself and myself, both of us, used at one point and still use today to build our $1 million Zazzle businesses. And so when people ask us, like, how do you do it? Or what did you guys do?
What's your secret?
Literally, our secret is in the 5 strategies
It is.
in the Profit by Design Academy, because we used those 5 strategies to get to where we are today. Christine and Brandon used those 5 strategies to get to where they are today. And many of our students are actually on track to get to $50,000, $100,000. And as I said, Christine and Brandon are on track to reach $200,000 in lifetime earnings. And it's all because of those 5 strategies. And obviously the mentors and the community and the advice and the teachings and the implementation. We have many students who are not getting those levels or getting those results because they aren't following the strategies or they're not implementing everything properly. But we have a lot of students who are on track to reach amazing, amazing goals and see amazing successes in their Zazzle business.
And that brings us to the last point. Both Christine and Brandon are dedicated, and they don't let anything get in the way of them doing the work. And they're also very hardworking. They work smart, but they also work hard, right? They're not, when they sit down for their 20 hours a month, they are working extremely efficiently and effectively in order to get the necessary work done that will give them the results that they're looking for. And that's, I think, where we creatives fall down a little bit. It was actually really good to see where Brandon just took this as like a gamification in a business, more so than even what we've done, because we had as creatives to learn all that business stuff and start to implement it into the 5 strategies. Whereas he came from that business background and therefore already understood the importance of that business mindset. But what he was missing was the business strategies that work on Zazzle, right? Because he had the business mindset, but he didn't know how to work it on Zazzle. And so that's why some people have labeled that Profit by Design Academy course as the Harvard MBA MBA of Zazzle. So it's really nice because it helps creatives in the language that we understand, we're creatives, to really do that business side of things and to still keep the creativity and be able to deliver to the Zazzle marketplace, which is thriving on the creativity and individual uniqueness of all the artists that are on there and the creatives, while still being able to manage it as a business so that you can compete and be competitive within all of the millions of people that have stores on Zazzle. And I think that's where people forget that if you're already in a mindset of lack where you go like, oh, it's so hard to compete on Zazzle, so many sellers that are good, or wow, there's so many people, or you just started so long ago and so it just can't work for me now because I'm just getting started and you already took the pie. That's so bad as a way to look and approach the situation. And I think that's where Christine and Brandon came in. They go like, this is a cool opportunity and I just need to know how to do it. And they never really, and they still to this day do never ever worry about lack, right? Because they're always seeing opportunity. And now they've proven very clearly that you don't have to start 14 years ago in order for this to get, work and scale quickly. And I love that because now we can talk about them. But we knew already when they first started, they really were interested in learning how to be that business mindset and implement those strategies properly so that they could take full advantage of what was laying before them. It was like, okay, it's like I said, back to I want to become an Olympic swimmer and I'm going to the community pool to learn swimming. No, I need to go and find a coach that has taught other Olympic swimmers before who have won medals. And so that's what they did. They came to someone that would be able to teach them where they wanted to go, and they have high goals. And so depending on what you want and how you feel your Zazzle journey should go, that's really important for you to get that help as you need it. But what we want to do today is I'm not like selling a course right now. I'm just saying this course is really basically the steps that are necessary for you to take to be able to be successful. Now, we could talk about them. We can list them off and everything. But the most important thing is someone trusted in the method that others use to get somewhere where they want to go. And that you hear that like everywhere, right? No matter what you want to accomplish. If you want to accomplish something, go to someone who's already made like headway in there and accomplished what you want to accomplish. Learn from them. And if you're stuck and you're struggling, because that's what we want to get back to, is the struggle, trust in yourself that you actually can still do it, even if you are struggling. Because your struggle doesn't indicate the potential you have. It doesn't indicate that you're never going to get somewhere. It just means that there's maybe a different way that you can approach this, which would be much more effective, and then you wouldn't have to struggle so hard. And that's the real message today. And Christine, 2 years, $132, she was going to give up. And then she saw that like it was just like by chance, oh, there's a course. And we really, truly are the only people in the space that are offering a course that provides this much value and also openness in terms of how people can become successful on this platform. And so I think that makes a big difference as well. Like we're very authentic in that regard. We're not really holding back. And that allowed Christine and Brandon to really take what we do ourselves and implement it in their own businesses. And that was really, really important, that they believed that even though they were struggling, they could still make it, like turn it around, because they now had the help they needed and the mentors they needed and the roadmap they needed. And if you can resonate with that and at least get that message into your space, we are holding space for you to be as good as what you are potentially good to be. That was really badly worded. We're holding space for you because we know your potential. And even though we don't know who you are, because every human being has amazing potential. It's just that we've been downtrodden a little bit because we've tried certain things and we're not sort of getting the results we expected. And we have to remember that maybe that's because we're not trying the right way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. And we know that this resonated with you, definitely. What did you want to say?
Oh, well, I was going to say, we're going to have Christine on in a podcast. She's agreed to actually talk about her journey and not just us talk about her. So watch out for that in the future. That's coming up in a couple of podcasts from now. However, we also talked about Brandon. We literally walked through his journey. He's a bit camera shy, and so he agreed for us to just talk through his journey. And we're going to link that in the show notes to the podcast that we did about him. And that's so inspirational. A lot of people are really resonating with that as well and love watching and listening to that over and over again, depending on if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on one of your favorite podcast platforms. And so be sure to make sure you click go into the show notes and get those links as an addition to this particular session, because first we just want to make sure that you understand it's okay. You don't need to struggle. And then secondly, those two podcasts are going to be so inspirational to you, and we want you to make sure you come back to watch or listen to those.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and we will see you in the next one, and watch out for Christine's coming very soon. Bye.
Bye.